our theme.
Climb aboard, cause you don't know exactly where or when we'll go. Chicago 1893, or the Gilded Age in NYC. Blast off into outer space, drink till you're flat on your face. From the comfort of your home, so if you puke alone, one day we'll even find that place in France. And don't come crying to us if you pee your pants. Time travel pub crawl. Time travel pub crawl. Time travel pub crawl. Yeah!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome once again to Mysterious Chicago, effing Chicago, Time Travel Pub Crawl. The special edition today is known as Drink Like the Dickens. I hope you have all followed some of the recipes that are over on the blog. So welcome along, everybody. I'm Adam Seltzer from Mysterious Chicago Tours. Those of you who may not know, I am, in fact, incredibly famous. Got about a dozen Chicago history books out, including the Mysterious Chicago book. I'm on the History Channel and the Travel Channel all the time, so yes, incredibly famous. I want to take just a second and thank all of the Mysterians out there, the Mysterious Chicago regulars and the Miles fan club. I've been getting surprise donations all day. I am absolutely floored by what a great group we have here. I am so glad that you guys all clicked on a link at some point to start watching these tours. Those of you new around here, we do this every single day. We've got all kinds of great people out here. The group is as good of an internet group as you will ever find anywhere. These people are just wonderful. Thank you so much from my family to yours. So, today's tour, though, is called Drink Like the Dickens. It is something that I've worked on for a long time, recreating drinks out of Charles Dickens' books, so I am a Dickens nut. I've covered him a little. We don't really get to talk about him too much on Mysterious Chicago, because, he never came to Chicago. But I did cover him a while ago on my podcast, Cemetery Mixtape. I did an episode called Son of a Dickens, which covered a few Dickens family members who are buried here in the States. For one thing, this morning on the morning mini tour, we went to see Augustus Dickens, Charles's no-good brother who died in Chicago and is buried at Graceland. I also covered Alfred Dickens, his son, even says son of Charles Dickens, up at Trinity Uptown in New York City. And in Moline, Illinois, over in the western part of the state, is his son Francis Dickens, who has two gravestones, both of which mention that he is the son of Charles Dickens. They always got to mention the family connection on there. Moline, he's kind of overshadowed. When I took a trip out there, there was also this grave with a pair of shoes on top that said, "I will come to you," at the bottom. I can think of a lot of explanations for this. I cannot think of the non-creepy explanation. Also, 6 or 7 years ago now, long enough ago that we were singing Get Lucky when we went out to a pool hall after, I got to have Lucinda Dickens Hawksley, Charles's great-great-great-granddaughter, came on one of my tours. That was a huge thing for me. It was so much fun. So today what we're going to do is the Time Travel Pub Crawl. Time Travel Pub Crawl is something we started doing back in May. This is actually the 7th edition of the Time Travel Pub Crawl. When we started doing virtual tours, I thought it would be fun to do a virtual pub crawl too, and then I quickly realized if we're doing it virtually, we're not bound by, say, time or space. We can go to any pub from any time in history or even fictional ones. Who's going to stop us? So, just a little bit of history before we get started on Drink Like the Dickens. This is the Fool Killer Submarine. It is the wreck of a submarine that was found in the Chicago River in November of 1915. When they raised it up the next month, they said they found a dead guy on board the thing. For a while, it became a carnival attraction. For a dime, you could see the submarine and the dead guy. Groups of 10 or more children were half off on Saturday mornings. So, it disappears from the record in late 1916. It was a carnival attraction for a while, then it was at Riverview, the amusement park on Western Avenue. Probably got sold for scrap, or so we all thought. But we decided here on Time Travel Pub Crawl, we found it. It was in the couch tomb. And not only did we find it, but we found out that it can sail through time and space. So everybody, climb aboard the Fool Killer Submarine. We are going to blast off to our first Charles Dickens themed pub across the galaxy. Here we go. Punch it, Chewie. Alright, we have made our jump to hyperspace. And from here, we're going to zip into London. There is a pub here called the Lamb and Flag. This has been here since the 1600s. If you look just to the right of the Lamb and Flag there, you can see this alley that goes along beside it. This place is old enough that the poet Dryden, the satirist Dryden, was beaten up and left for dead one time in that alley, and it was the Lamb and Flag back then, too. So let's take a look on the inside here. Front room looks about like this. The upstairs is called the Dryden room. So it's still in operation today. And the back area is the place that would be called the Snuggery back in the day, or the Cozy in Dickens' day. Now here's a really cool thing. They actually have a 360 tour that you can do on their website. So let's go ahead and check on it at the inside here. Great British pub food. Bangers and mash, stuff like that. Walk around a little bit. Weird art on the wall. De rigueur. There's the Cozy back here. So they will claim all over their website that Charles Dickens spent a lot of time in this place. Whether he actually did, I can't quite say. I don't find it mentioned in any of his letters or anything. But we know that Charles Dickens did hang out this area quite a bit. Probably not when he looked like this. It was more in his younger days when he looked like this. When he was a kid, he was made to work in a blacking warehouse for a while his father was in debtor's prison, and that warehouse was right down the road from where this pub is and was in operation at the time. It's quite likely he would have at least passed the place. Now, the fact that he was working in a warehouse while his father was in debtor's prison was not known in his lifetime. It's very difficult to read his books when he refers to kids working in warehouses and their parents being in debtor's prison a lot. It's difficult to read that without knowing that about him now, but in his day, it was a closely guarded secret, just like the closely guarded secret of his girlfriend who was almost 30 years younger than he was. That one wouldn't be known till well into the 20th century. But as a young man, he learned shorthand and became a court reporter. And a lot of court reporters are said to have hung out in the Lamb and Flag, so he might have been here as an older guy too. So, while working as a court reporter, he also wrote a series of newspaper articles called Sketches by Bose. Bose was his pen name at the time. He wrote this whole series that came out under the name Sketches by Bose. It became a hit. Among the drawings that were done by George Cruikshank, the great illustrator, was this one, the Gin Palace. All showing people crowding around with different kinds of gin, Cream of the Valley, Old Tom, Out and Out. So it may have been here that he figured out his recipe for punch, which I'll show you a quick video of how to make right now.
These proportions and directions will, of course, apply to any quantity. Peel into a very strong common basin, which may be broken in case of accident without damage to the owner's piece or pocket, the rinds of 3 lemons, cut very thin and with as little as possible of the white coating between the peel and the fruit attached. Add a double handful of lump sugar, good measure, and a pint of good old rum, and a large wine glass full of brandy. If not a large claret glass, say 2. Set this on fire by filling a warm silver spoon with the spirit, lighting the contents, and pouring them gently in.
This is the really cool part. Makes an agreeable crackling sound.
Let it burn for 3 or 4 minutes at least, stirring from time to time. Then extinguish it by covering the basin with a tray, which will immediately put out the flame. Then squeeze in the juice of 3 lemons and add a quart of boiling water.
It is, in fact, delicious. Now, folks, I gotta tell you, when I went to buy the brandy, I was very pleased to see that the brand was Paul Masson. Best known nowadays, I really think of it as a wine thing. You never see Paul Masson wine anymore, but it is probably best known these days for its old wine commercial starring Orson Welles, which means I have a perfect opportunity to play one of my favorite things ever to come out of the internet, the reel of outtakes from when Orson Welles was filming a Paul Masson champagne commercial, and it clearly sampled a little bit too much.
Turn camera.
Marked.
102, take 1.
With overlap, action please. Action Orson, please.
Just do anything?
No, it's sorry, cut. Yeah, rolling.
102, take 2.
Ah, the French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence. It's fermented in the bottle, and like the best French champagne, it's vintage dated. So pour ma son.
102, take 3.
Action, please.
Ah, the French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by that same French excellence. It's fermented in the bottle, and like the best French champagne, it's vintage dated. So Paul Masson.
I love that. It's such a tragedy, really. And early in his career, when he was still just doing the Mercury Theater radio, he did an adaptation of the Pickwick Papers, which was the first really big, successful Dickens book that absolutely made him a star. We'll cover that in a second. But before that, while we're here in such a nice, atmospheric, young, old British pub, I thought it would be time for some music. So here is Time Travel Pub Crawl favorites, Dr. Mary Crowell, the Mad Doctor of Alabama, performing a song called Just Dessert.
I remember as I butter my bread, you so easily led me out of my head with the words that you said, oh darling, gonna kill you. I nibble on cheese and think of your treacheries. You are the reason that our destinies are dark. Yes, sweet, you're gonna die. Oh, I'm thinking as I sip my wine, your debonair, your look sublime, but darling, oh darling, you're gonna die. I remember as I spoon up my soup, jumping through hoops, mind led in loops, so I was your dupe, yes darling. I'm gonna kill you. As I sample the greens, I'm choosing my means, pondering scenes played out with a fiend. I know, yes, sweet, you're gonna die. Oh, I'm thinking as I sip my wine, you're debonair, your look sublime, but darling, oh darling, you're gonna die. We dined on filet, revenge our entree, shared on this day that I made you pay, oh darling, I'm gonna kill you. And I'll remember sharing a quip as our brandies we sipped. Then I curled my lip, your heart out I ripped. Oh, darling, you're gonna die. Oh, I'm thinking as I smile at you, the lies you tell, the things you do. You know that part of just dessert is making sure you're gonna hurt. Oh, darling, I'm gonna kill you. Oh, darling, my sweet darling, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. What's in this soup?
Dr. Mary Crowell, everybody. At least if you die, you'll be able to properly enjoy Mrs. Pell's fish sticks. They're even better when you're dead. Saw that in the comments. Love that somebody caught the critic reference there. All right, everybody. So, this was The Lamb and Flag in Covent Garden in London. From here, we're going to trace Dickens' career a little bit further. Sometime a little bit after this, after Sketches by Boz, he wrote one of his most popular novels ever, the most popular at the time, one called The Pickwick Papers. To visit that, we're going to go about 20 miles out of London. Just about 20 miles away, to a town called Dorking. I have actually been to Dorking. I went specifically to stock up on postcards. Now, Dorking has a hotel called the White Horse, which has just recently been renovated with a whole lot of Dickens stuff. Like, every room has copies of Dickens books. They say that Dickens stayed in this hotel while he was writing what was his most popular book, really, in his lifetime, The Pickwick Papers. The Pickwick Papers right here. So, The Pickwick Papers, was thought of as about the funniest thing ever at the time. And if you look at the numbers, it sold to something like 80% of all people who could read. So it was maybe the most popular book of all time from a certain point of view.
A certain point of view?
Well, barely even a certain point of view. Come here, Aiden. I'll let them see how you look right now. You think you'd dress up smart and you can say it's just a certain point of view that the Pickwick Papers was the most popular book of all time.
Well, it is.
Well, yes, right you are. Sometimes it's just right you are. All right. Aiden, everybody. All right, so it started out being a story of the Pickwickians, Mr. Pickwick and friends, going around observing human nature around England. It captured a sort of Englishness that had never really been captured before, but everybody recognized. I sometimes compare it to Clerks. Clerks, when that movie came out, captured a certain point of suburban retail work that we all recognized but had never seen in a movie before. It hit my generation really hard. I don't know if kids today really relate to it. You know, with a lot of comedy, including the Pickwick Papers, you kind of had to be there, but it is still very funny. Right at the beginning, there's a guy named Mr. Jingle who's riding them with them in a carriage coming up towards an arch. And I use this same speech about the bridges when I'm working on the Summer of George, a really tall ship that goes under low bridges. Mr. Jingle says, "Heads, heads, take care of your heads. Terrible place, dangerous work. Other day, 5 children, mother, tall lady, eating sandwiches, forgot the arch, crash, knock. Children look round, mother's head off. Sandwich in her hand, no mouth to put it in. Head of a family off. Shocking, shocking." It's still very funny to me, but it really took off in popularity several chapters in when he introduced a character named Sam Weller, a Cockney guy who was thought of as about the funniest person ever. He made a lot of quips that we call Wellerisms, like, "There, now we look compact and comfortable," as the father said when he cut off his little boy's head to cure him of squinting. And today I would kind of classify them as advanced dad jokes. But in those days, people thought Sam Weller was the single greatest literary creation ever. And he was so popular that Dickens, this was being published serial. A chapter came out every month. He was so popular that Dickens reconfigured the entire book just really to focus on Sam Weller. And there was a point where they go to a pub in Dorking called the Marquis of Granby. So Sam Weller meets a guy at the Marquis of Granby who is drinking, our next drink, pineapple rum. This is about as easy as it gets. Rum, pineapple juice to taste, hot water to taste. It is delicious, and it's super, super easy. So this is Sam Weller with his father who hangs out at the Marquis of Granby, and after this, the whole book changed. After this, it's, here's a message from Mandy Crypt.
What are the Pickwick Papers even about?
What is the Pickwick Papers about, anyway? Well, I tell you, the Pickwick Papers is, well, I better ask Eli about this one. Eli used to get better grades than I did. Hey, Eli? Eli?
Adam, what can I do for you?
Eli, you're a pretty smart guy, right?
I'd like to think so, yes.
Can you tell us what the Pickwick Papers is about?
The Pickwick Papers. Now that is an interesting question. On the one hand, what does it mean for something to be about something? Is it the reader's impression or the author's intention that really matters? Can we really know what something is about?
You don't know.
Reeds had an interesting theory that...
You don't know, do you?
Not at all, no.
Okay, so Pickwick Papers, it's kind of hard to explain to people what it's actually about. Oh, wait a minute. We're getting a message coming in from Layla Royale of effing Chicago as well.
Adam, I have a message for you from the effing Chicago headquarters.
What is it?
If you don't find out what the Pickwick Papers are about, Christmas won't come this year.
How?
Hey, I don't know how holidays work. Don't ask me.
Oh, no. Well, if Christmas doesn't come this year, that means New Year's won't come this year, and 2020 will just keep going. We'll miss the New Year's effing Eve. We've got to figure this one out. Okay, let's see if we can find anybody. There's nobody hanging around in Dorking these days, but maybe if we go back to the Lamb and Flag. Here's the Lamb and Flag at St. Patrick's Day. Hey, guys! Can anybody help me out? Guys, we're trying to figure out, hello, excuse me. Maybe we shouldn't have come on St. Patrick's Day. Okay, let's try another day here. Okay, guys, Lamb and Flag folks. Guys? Oh no. Isn't there anyone who can tell me what the Pickwick Papers is all about? I know. I'll ask Hipster Bert.
Oh, hi, Adam. I was just sitting down to a cool glass of barrel-aged kombucha.
Gross. I wanted to ask you about Dickens.
Go on.
Have you read the Pickwick Papers?
Huh. You mean the book that sold to 80% of all people who could read when it came out? That's really mainstream.
In 1840, sure.
My favorite Charles Dickens book is a really obscure one that you probably haven't heard of. Martin Chuzzlewit.
I love that one. That's the one where they go to America.
It's a forgotten masterpiece. The doctor on Doctor Who said the American bit is rubbish, but he's wrong.
Agreed, but what's the Pickwick Papers about?
Don't be so basic, Adam. Miles!
Oh, jeez. So, Hipster Bird is no help, the people of the Lamb and Flag are no help, even Eli's no help, and he got much better grades than I did. Okay, we can figure this out. There is a place on my walking tours here in Chicago that is called Pickwick Place. We'll go check that out. The proprietor of the place that used to be there was said to be a Dickens character himself. So let's go. All right, folks. We are going to head back to the United States of America, back to Chicago. So right down Jackson Street here. Down Jackson, just east of State Street between State and Michigan Avenue. There's this little nook. You kind of blink and you miss it walking down Jackson. But if you take a left next to the salad place, there is this alley that is known as Pickwick Place. It's always been called Pickwick Place, partly because even in the old days, the people thought this looked like something out of Charles Dickens, this tiny little building from right after the Great Chicago Fire. You occasionally read that it was before the Great Chicago Fire. This building at the back was originally a stable. It is possibly the smallest building in the entire loop. It's been there for a very long time. At the 1890s, this place started being referred to in the press because there were often gambling raids in the alley. Just about every time Pickwick Place comes up in the press, it's about a gambling raid there. Or a mention of Abson's English Chop House. Abson's English Chop House was a place run by a guy named Colonel William Abson, who was said to be really kind of like a Dickens character himself. Let's see if Colonel Abson can help us out.
Welcome to Pickwick Place. I'm Colonel Abson. Hope you like mutton.
Hey, do you have any special drinks?
Just beer. Now, how do you take your mutton?
Really, I just want to know, since you're here in Pickwick Place, do you know what the Pickwick Papers is about?
Did Big Jim send you? Is this another gambling raid? Where would I even keep a faro table in a place this small? Get out of here.
Okay, I think we're gonna get out of here. They said he was a Dickens character. I didn't know it was Hannibal Trollope from Martin Chuzzlewit. Alright, so, well, actually, this will give us, I know another guy right around the block that we could maybe talk to, who's always been friendly to us before. It'll also give me a chance to talk about one of my favorite parts in Martin Chuzzlewit. When they go to New York City, when Martin and his friend Mark go to New York, there's a transcription of what the newsies are shouting. Now, we're going to go down this alley. I've just recently talked about this one, Newsies Alley here in Chicago off of LaSalle Street. Dickens said that the newsies said, here's this morning's New York sewer, here's this morning's New York stabber, here's the New York family spy, here's the New York private listener, here's the New York peeper, here's the New York plunderer, here's the New York keyhole reporter, here's the New York rowdy journal, here's all the New York papers, here's the full particulars of the patriotic loco-foco movement yesterday in which the Whigs was so chawed up, and the latest Alabama gouging case, and the interesting Arkansas duel with Bowie knives, and all the political commercial and fashionable news. Here they are, here's the papers. So, once you got through Newsies Alley, there would have been a little entrance to lead to the Whitechapel Club, the rowdy press club for crime reporters. We've stopped by here a few times. The guy's usually been pretty helpful with us. Let's see if that keeps up today.
Oh, it's you.
Yep.
And all of your guests.
Uh-huh.
Again.
Yep.
Well, might as well come inside.
Thanks, I was hoping you could help me out.
With drinks, I assume.
Actually, I was hoping you knew what the Pickwick Papers is about.
Pickwick Papers? All I know is that the pineapple rum is like a beginner's version of our punch.
Well.
But you know, Dickens died before he could finish The Mystery of Edwin Drood. I was just about to explain my theory about how it was going to end. Please sit down. This will take a few hours. Now, let's assume that the obviously telegraphed ending with the quicklime and the ring was one of Jasper's opium dreams, and then we can...
Hey, okay, we gotta get out of here, man. See ya! I love Mystery of Edwin Drood, but sitting through people's wild theories about how it would have ended if Dickens had lived to finish it can be a very boring experience. Let's move up a little bit further in history, though. While we're in the United States, I will say that Dickens came to the United States, hated it in 1842, ended up making fun of it all over Martin Chuzzlewit and a book called American Notes. Then he came back to do a reading tour in 1867 and 1868. While he was there, he got kind of sick. The guy who ran his hotel, the Westminster, made him a drink that he said would cure what ailed him called the Rocky Mountain Sneezer. It consisted of 1 shot of rum, 1 shot of brandy, a dash of Angostura bitters, a dash of sugar, and a handful of snow. The snow melts right into it. Watch this. Cool, huh? Now, if you're making this at home, I recommend just tossing some ice in the food processor rather than scooping snow off of the ground, but even more so back then. I mean, this was 1867 New York. Even now, New York City snow is clean for about 15 minutes or so before it gets nasty. In those days, there were so many more horses pooping all over everything. There weren't any laws saying that you had to clean up after your dog, so practically nobody did. But certainly no one around here is going to help us to find out the answer to the mystery of what is the Pickwick Papers all about. So, let's go ahead and, Martin Chuzzlewit didn't sell very well when it got started. Dickens was a little bit low on money, but he was seized with inspiration on something that he could do to make a few extra bucks, and that was right, A Christmas Story. So, let's zip on back to the UK here. In fact, while we go, the guy at the Whitechapel Club just gifted us some found footage he found. You might remember the Barbershop Quartet from the Time Travel Pub Crawl Halloween. They've actually got some footage that they found of those guys singing us a nice holiday song.
Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat. Please do put a penny in the old man's hat. If you haven't got a halfpenny will do. If you haven't got a halfpenny, then God bless you. Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat.
Nice.
Please to put a penny in the old man's hat. If you haven't got a penny in the old man's hat. If you haven't got a halfpenny, then God bless you. If you haven't got a halfpenny, then God bless you. Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat. At least to put a penny in the old man's hat. If you haven't got a penny, God bless you. If you haven't got a penny, God bless you. If you haven't got a penny, the goose is getting fat. At least to put a penny in the old man's hat. If you haven't got a penny, will do. If you haven't got a penny, God bless you. If you haven't got a penny, God bless you. If you haven't got a penny, then God bless you. If you haven't got a halfpenny, then God bless you. Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat.
The Dead Ringer Quartet, ladies and gentlemen. And that will get us back across the ocean to London and the site of Fezziwig's Ball, one of the highlight scenes in A Christmas Carol. Now, A Christmas Carol, everybody knows the story. I'm not sure if people realize quite how good the prose is. Right at the beginning, it's one of my favorite lines that never makes it into adaptations. Old Marley was dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge what there is particularly dead about a doornail. I might have been inclined myself to regard a coffin nail as the deadest piece of ironmongery in the trade. But the wisdom of our ancestors is in the simile, and my unhallowed hand shall not disturb it, or the country's done for. You will therefore permit me to repeat emphatically that Marley was dead as a doornail. I love that. And then like a couple of paragraphs later, he describes the weather as it was cold, bleak, and biting weather, foggy withal, and he could hear the people in the court outside go wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warn them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was dark already. It had not been light all day, and the candles were flaring in the windows of the neighboring offices like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. Love that. Now, this was the first time that Dickens wrote a book that was actually fairly short. Most of his books were about 800 pages long. You tend to hear that he got paid by the word, which isn't exactly true. The exact length of each book was set before in the contract of them. But Christmas Carol was tighter. It forced him to cut out a lot of the stuff and just make it a much tighter piece of prose. But he still managed to work in a lot of stuff like that. So, there is a drink here. There are a couple of them. One is that when Scrooge gets better, he decides to make Bob Cratchit a bowl of smoking bishop. We'll cover just a bit of that. Smoking bishop, you gotta start with several Seville oranges, or a few regular oranges and 1 grapefruit if you can't find Seville oranges, which you probably can't. Bake them for a while, add some cloves, pour in the wine, let it sit for 24 hours, then add hot water to heat it up. This one takes about 24 hours. It's never really been one of my favorites. It's a little bit bitter for my taste, honestly. But it was also not one of the things that they were serving at Fezziwig's party, which is something Scrooge remembered attending when he was just a young apprentice. He thought Mr. Fezziwig was just such a great old guy. Should have learned a bit better about how to be a good boss from old Mr. Fezziwig. In any case, though, there were a number of songs that they specifically mentioned in here. We're going to be bringing out Amy McNally, our champion fiddler from the Time Travel Pub Crawls. They specifically mentioned that they played a song here called Sir Roger de Coverley, which was usually the last song played at dances like this. It was very popular in those days. She has done it in a medley with 2 other songs, the first of which is called Nottingham Ale, which the Dead Ringer Quartet has helpfully recorded a little bit of for us, so you'll be able to recognize it. Here, let's just follow the bouncing ball.
Ye surgeons who more executions have done with potions and powders and bolus and pill, than hangmen with noose, or soldiers with guns, or miser with famine, or lawyer with quill, to dispatch us the quicker, forbid us malt liquor, till our bodies grow weak and our faces grow pale. But mind who he pleases, what cures all diseases is a comforting bottle of Nottingham Ale. Nottingham Ale, boys, Nottingham Ale, no liquor on earth is like Nottingham Ale. Nottingham Ale, boys, Nottingham Ale, no liquor on earth is like Nottingham Ale.
All right, Nottingham Ale. So it is a medley of that song, Sir Roger de Coverley, and in the middle is one called Nancy Dawson, a song about a dancer. You'll recognize the melody for that one. It's more commonly, it's the tune that is also used for Here We Go Round the Mulberry Bush. Amy's going to play us a whole medley here. Starts with Sir Roger, goes to Nottingham Ale, then to Nancy Dawson, then back to Nottingham Ale, and back to Sir Roger de Coverley. So here we are. Amy McNally, everybody. I don't know if you guys could all see, but I was doing the river dance that whole time. It's only below the waist, so you probably couldn't see, but I assure you that I was. All right, Amy McNally, the infamous fiddler. It looks like we disconnected for a second there. It looks like we're back now. All right. Give everybody a second to applaud while everything disappears for a second here. All right. Might have frozen for just a second. So I'll take a second to switch over to the other drink. Switching over to the punch now. Gotta be careful with the punch. I mean, when you set fire to it, you worry you're gonna burn the alcohol off. However, I have seen Patty Vasquez's mother pass out from this stuff. It will knock people out. Alright, I don't know if Patty is out there tonight. If not, I will see a whiskey and a cookie tomorrow. But anyway, we haven't quite fulfilled our duty here. We came to party, and this is great, but we haven't found out what the Pickwick Papers. Hold on a second, because I'm getting this other reconnection thing again. Alright. Why, here he is, old Fezziwig alive again. Maybe he can tell me. Mr. Fezziwig, can you tell us what the Pickwick Papers is about?
Oh.
No? Oh, jeez. Alright, you know what? This is my fault. I realized that A Christmas Carol came out in 1842. It must have taken place several years before because he knows that Scrooge got better and stayed better. And Fezziwig's party took place years and years before that. So this is probably like 1780 or something. Pickwick Papers won't be out for a long time yet. You know what? We've got to go to a place from later in Dickens' career. But hey, while we're in London, let's go down to the Limehouse district and check out a place called the Six Jolly Fellowship Porters. You can see us kind of hanging over the edge of the river here. It comes up right onto the edge. Dickens described it as a place that looked like a diver who was hesitating to go in. Absolutely fantastic. It appears as a regular place in his last completed novel, Our Mutual Friend from 1860. Deeply funny, deeply dark, deeply disturbing. Practically everybody in it drowns. Lots of good stuff here. So, it is famous enough that it became a part of the Dickens village, the Six Jolly Fellowship Porters. Here's Jenny Wren hanging out at the Six Jolly Fellowship Porters on the left. She's just a little kid, but Paul McCartney wrote a song about her just a few years ago. On the right is Raya, a positive Jewish character that Dickens wrote in to try to make up some of the damage he had done with Mr. Fagin years and years before. There's also a really good scene where there are these two lawyers in the book who have any clients or anything to do. So they just walk around being snarky. There's a great line where they're riding in a carriage and Rayburn says, "Then idiots talk of energy. If there is a word in the dictionary under the letter from A to Z that I abominate, it is energy. It is such a conventional superstition, such parrot gabble. What the deuce? But show me a good opportunity. Show me something really..." He's starting on me quite a bit here. I hope that this isn't bothering too many people out there. It looks like it's still sticking up. So, there's one scene where these two guys hang out at the Six Jolly Fellowship Porters, doing undercover work, pretending to be lime merchants. And it's hilarious because they get way too into pretending to be lime merchants. But it turns out this place was based, a very thinly disguised version of a real pub that still exists called The Grapes. It is still standing today. Here's what the back of it looks like. It goes up to an embankment now. The river doesn't go quite as far as it used to. On the inside, it looks about like this, just about like you'd hope it would. And here's the really cool thing. It is currently owned by Sir Ian McKellen. Sir Ian McKellen is occasionally known to show up there and join random people's teams on pub quiz night. In case you wanted another reason to start being able to travel again, soon we're getting there. I am definitely going to this place once we can travel again. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit. Oh, actually, we're back in the past now, but maybe, just maybe, the bartender, maybe he's some ancestor of Ian McKellen who can help us with what we're looking for. It's been such a long night trying to find the answer to this question.
Good evening, sir. Good heavens, but you look a fright.
It's been a long night.
I should say so. Perhaps a burned sherry to calm your nerves.
I hear you burn sherry well here, but we're all pretty drunk and really cold.
Then a port negus. Now the main ingredient is pickled calves' feet, but you can just take some lemon and orange peel, put them in port with cinnamon and cloves, and then let it steep for a while. Then add hot water. It won't make you too much more drunk, and the orange oil will warm you right up.
Yeah, that actually sounds really good.
Oh, or a Rocky Mountain sneezer. Dickens' American landlord made one for him.
I already covered the Rocky Mountain sneezer. I was actually hoping to ask you something. I was hoping you'd be more help than everyone else.
My dear boy, the grapes dates back to the days of good Queen Bess herself. Try me.
Isn't there anyone who can tell me what the Pickwick Papers is all about?
I can.
You can?
Lights, please.
Alexa, man cave.
You see, Adam, the Pickwick Papers, there's no particular plot. It's not about anything. They just wander around eating and drinking for 800 pages.
Just like we've been doing!
Precisely. And that's what the Pickwick Papers is all about, Charlie Brown.
Is that what Christmas is about, too?
Well, in England, at least.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. Alexa, webcam. There you have it. The Pickwick Papers isn't really about anything. They just wander around eating and drinking for 800 pages. And it actually is, in fact, really, really funny. So, all right, we have solved the mystery here. I think we can add on an extra pub stop here, an extra historical place anyway. Now, Dickens, as I said, never came to Chicago, but in his 1842 trip, he did go to St. Louis, where later on, of course, they had the World's Fair that we often think about around this time of year. The St. Louis World's Fair, the Louisiana Purchase Exposition of 1904. Here it is with the crowd. Looks very much like the White City in Chicago 11 years before. In fact, they even had the exact same Ferris wheel. My great-great-grandfather rode it in St. Louis, loved it so much he became a carny for 5 years. My great-grandfather got a teddy bear from there. It's back on the mantle right now. But there's actually some film footage of this one, unlike the Chicago one from 11 years before. This, and looks by William Selig, of Selig Polyscope. That's a Chicago company. So here is President Roosevelt at the fair. You can see him there shaking hands, probably saying, "Bully!" Roosevelt liked Dickens, but he told his son you could skip over a lot of the bosh and twaddle. That's the whole movie, that's it. But St. Louis has actually kept up their World's Fair grounds pretty well. It's still a very nice park, there's a zoo there, and also the St. Louis Art Museum is on the grounds, featuring such great works that I think actually prove that time travel exists. There are some portraits in there that make me think time travel is for real, like this. I call this Portrait of My Uncle Nate, who is super into Foghat. Or there's also this one, which I'm pretty sure called a Portrait of a Smiling Courtesan with an Obscene Image. It's a girl pointing at a guy's butt. I'm reasonably certain that's Mandy Cripp from effing Chicago time traveling. Almost certain, in fact. But the reason we tend to think about the St. Louis World's Fair this time of year is because of the movie Meet Me in St. Louis, in which Judy Garland sings a song to little Tootie, who is in the wrong family. She should really be in the Addams family. Very morbid little girl. But when she finds out they're moving to New York, she's distraught, and Judy Garland sings her a nice song that was later rewritten into an upbeat holiday song. But the song at the time, it wasn't about through the years we all will be together. It was in a year we all will be together. Just reconnected again. I really hope that doesn't happen because we've got somebody to sing us the original Judy version of the lyrics. Once again, another mysterious Chicago time travel pub crawl favorite. Ladies and gentlemen, from New York City, Marissa and Bill.
Merry Christmas! This is for you. This is my favorite Christmas song, and this is Bill Zephyro on the piano, and my name is Marissa, and we're so happy to sing for you. Christmas future is far away. Christmas past is past. Christmas present is here to stay, bringing joy that will last. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight. muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Once again, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us will be near to us once more. Someday soon, we all will be together if the fates allow. Until then, we'll have to muddle through somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Wishing you all the best and a great year to come. Bye.
Bill Zeffiro and Marissa Mulder, everybody. How appropriate is that right now? And she was just trying to console Tootie that next year they might be living in New York, but man, in a year we all will be together. For now, we'll have to muddle through somehow and have ourselves a merry little Christmas now. I just had to end with that one. But those are not, in fact, the original lyrics. They're the second draft. The first draft was even more depressing. It was, have yourself a merry little Christmas. It may be your last. Next year, we may all be living in the past. Right after that, even after that version, Tootie runs out and wrecks all of her snowmen. Very morbid little girl. But everybody, from now on, will have to muddle through somehow. That's kind of what we've been doing. But all of you have made it so much easier for me, so much easier for my family. I hope that we've helped make it easier for you to muddle through somehow this year as well. So everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks to all my Mysterians who showed up here, even on Christmas Eve. This has been so much fun. It only went down a couple of times. Let me quick plug the upcoming things. Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, Leopold and Loeb's Crime of the Century. Next Thursday, 8 p.m., a brand new tour called Chicago Swindlers and Con Artists. And then following that, we'll take a little break in between. Then at 11 p.m., come on back for New Year's effing Eve. It's like New Year's Rockin' Eve. But, you know, effing. I got a line on a place where I can get a Trump pinata. We beat him, we're going to beat this virus, we are going to make the 20s roar, and we will start with New Year's effing Eve. So everybody, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to put the Benny Goodman back on, we'll just hang out as we always do. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you for joining me on Mysterious Chicago. I'm Adam Seltzer. Let's just hang out for a while. Let's hear it again for Eli Seltzer, Rich Seltzer, Layla Royale, Mandy Crypt, Bill Zeffiro, Marissa Mulder, Dr. Mary Crowell, and Amy McNally, who helped to make this so great. Thanks to all my Mysterians for the donations. All the performers are getting a bonus tonight. Thanks very much, everybody. Let's put the Benny back on. Hey, here comes Ronnie. Look at Aiden. His outfit looks so good. We need to see more of that. Oh, Aiden's back in his civvies. Thanks, everybody. Ronnie, Christy says hi.